Welcome back to the S&T podcast. This morning we're going to be talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes going to LA, Southern California, to play the Trojans, USC. Um, it's going to be a 2:30 game. Iowa coming off a good game against Oregon last week, but unfortunately fell short. USC coming off a good win against Northwestern. They handled business well against Northwestern, so kind of just a little preview. Northwestern is basically Iowa, but not as good as Iowa does it. And USC, typical USC with Lincoln Riley, throw the ball, running gun, spread offense. So typical LA football, but hey, we will see what happens this week. Iowa looking to play spoiler to USC's playoff hopes. But without further ado, I'll let Cezanne take it over.
Yes, thank you very much, Tom, for that amazing intro. We have the number 21 Iowa Hawkeyes. So let me just start there. Very interesting to see that Iowa only dropped one spot in the latest college football playoff rankings after losing to Oregon in a very close one. Very respectable loss for sure. I mean, they were a minute away from winning that game. I mean, if the defense shows up in that last drive, they win. So I do respect the fact that they didn't drop far. Only dropping one spot, though, that's a little interesting, especially because they're above two lost teams and also Tennessee, who I don't think they're better than Tennessee. So I was a little interested in that just to see the way the committee ranked the teams. But I do like the fact that they kept Iowa in the top 25 because they should not be punished for that loss very much, especially since we're starting to get to the point of the season where three lost teams will be in the top 25. So cool to see that. And then they're going on the road to Los Angeles to take on the Trojans, coming in at number 17 in the country. USC they're ranked a little low, but the thing is, they control their own destiny. So USC I believe, I don't think they have much chance to make the Big Ten championship game at this point, but an at large is still very much in play for them when it comes to the playoff because USC plays Iowa this week, and they also play Oregon. So those are two big games that have playoff implications because if USC wins both of them and they finish 10-2, they're in. Like no doubt about it. A 10-2 Big 10 team is going to get in. If they lose to Oregon, I I think it's pretty much wraps for them because three losses, I don't see a Big Ten team with three losses getting in. Even though USC would probably have the best resume out of any three-loss Big Ten team, I don't think it's going to be enough to get in. So this is kind of both of these games are kind of do or die for USC. I think they do have to win out, but if they do, they're going to be in. So watch out for that. If Lincoln Riley and the Trojans can turn it on and start really playing some big boy football, watch out for USC to sneak in the playoffs. So that is still very much in play. Iowa, on the other hand, has pretty much been eliminated after the loss to Oregon. Like I said, three losses just not going to be enough, especially for a team like Iowa. So Iowa's really just playing spoiler at this point, trying to ruin seasons. Um, the Big Ten is very interesting because we do know there's going to be two teams for sure. I mean, Indiana, Ohio State, pencil them in, right? Well, Oregon is still, they're pretty much a lock, but it's still like, well, if they lose to Washington and USC, they play both of them, they're out. So, if they lose one of them, it could get interesting if they finish 10-2. Like I said, though, I think 10-2 is safe. But if Oregon loses both of those games, they're out. And all of a sudden we're talking about a USC or a Michigan, as we talked about a little bit before this. Michigan still has a chance. If Michigan wins out, they're in. If they beat Ohio State, they're definitely in. So there's still a lot at play here in the Big Ten. Still a lot of deciding factors coming up in the last few weeks of the season. So we're going to find out how it finishes. And I'm very excited to see. I do think the Big Ten is going to get in three teams for sure, but it could be as few as two and it could be as many as four. So we're going to find out, and I'm very excited to see it. But, Tom, what do you think about this matchup?
I mean, it's definitely a bigger game for USC than it is for Iowa. I know Iowa though, they like to ruin people's seasons. They like to be little spoilers. and obviously, they're playing to win, just like every other team is. But yeah, Iowa likes to spoil people's seasons or ruin it right at the end. So not going to be surprised. I think Iowa's going to try and make this game a street fight, like what Northwestern did against USC. And Northwestern had USC in a good spot. They were about to take the lead, but oh, excuse me, about to take the lead, but their defensive lineman intercepted a screen, and as he was about to score, he was at the 1 yard line and dove. The quarterback knocked the ball out of his hands, and it goes through the back of the end zone, causing a touchback. And then USC gets the ball back and goes right down the field, and just basically took the game from there. Just took all the air out of Northwestern's sails, but I think if Iowa can do what Northwestern did in the first half with USC and just make it a street fight, make it a 14-14 game, make it a 10-7 game, stuff like that. That's what Iowa's going to have to do to win, and Iowa's pretty good at doing that. I mean, you look at when they played Oregon, they made it a street fight, and they kept the game close. Iowa, they say like teams play up and down to their competition. Iowa just consistently always drag teams down into just the murky water with them, and just always make it some sort of street fight, one field goal, one possession game. But USC will definitely have the advantage here because it will be in LA. Usually, Iowa, if you're playing football in Iowa now in November, it's a little colder, not always as easy to throw the ball. It's usually pretty windy, but not in LA. LA's probably gonna be what, like 60, 65 degrees and probably sunny. So um, yeah, give me USC in this one, but don't be surprised if Iowa makes it a street fight.
Yes, I completely agree with you there, Tom. And I do think the fact that USC is at home, say, USC was on the road like Oregon was, then yes, Iowa will pull you down into the black hole with them and make you beat them the way that they play football. Like you might win, but you're going to win 18-16 like Oregon did last week. So I do think this is going to be a different type of game because Iowa is going on the road to USC, and even though Lincoln Riley is like Dan Lanning is at Oregon, like he likes to run the ball. Even though people see him as a passing heavy guy, he wants to run the ball. He wants to establish the run and make sure that he can do the play action off of that. Well, I don't think USC is going to sit here and play around with Iowa like Oregon did. So Oregon went on the road. It was cold. It was rainy. It was at night. You're at Iowa. They kind of just hunkered down and they made sure that they ran the ball just as many times as Iowa did. They made sure they were just as tough in the trenches. They took the fight to Iowa like Iowa wanted. Well, I don't think USC is going to do that. I don't think USC is going to sit here and play around with them and run the ball 30 times and try to get 3 and 4 and 5 yards every play and just get first down after first down after first down. No, USC is gonna be like, all right, you won't let us run the ball, bet we're gonna air it out. Like, and I don't think Iowa can hold up on the back end like they can up front because they have a great front seven. Not saying they don't have a good back four, but I just don't think they can keep up with the passing game the way that uh, they could against those Northwesterns and Purdue's and teams like that. Like if USC just decides to air it out, I don't think Iowa can score enough points to keep up. Their offense is just not built like that. So um, could be a close game at first, as the teams like feel each other out. But I think if it gets to the point where USC is not running the ball very well, they're just going to air it out, and then I don't think Iowa can keep up at that point. So it remains to be seen. It could be a really close one. It could be a toss up, but give me the Trojans at home. I think they keep their season alive and that they have bigger games coming up here in the future that will decide their season. So they're not going to let this game trip them up. They're going to wait until later on to see what happens. But that's all I got for that, Tom. Any final words?
Oh, very, very well said. I think that covers it all.